Did you ever feel like you're doing all the right things for your health, but you're still stuck in a cycle of low energy, food cravings, and afternoon fatigue? You're not alone. For the longest time, I was there too. But what if I told you that the biggest changes don't come from complicated diets or extreme routines, but from a handful of surprisingly simple, almost invisible upgrades? In this video, we are going to explore 5 powerful holistic tools that transformed my energy, focus, and well-being. So, for the first tip, I have to give all the credit to my husband. Before I met him, a slice of bread with butter and cheese seemed like a perfect breakfast to me. When I was younger, this was my favorite go-to meal. My husband, on the other hand, was always very thoughtful and took his time to prepare our food. He added so many spices, seeds, fermented vegetables, and greens. It made food so much more fun and exciting, and I got introduced to food combinations that I would have normally dismissed, like salmon with horseradish. So I also started going the extra mile. I began adding spices, greens, and toppings to my meals as well. A pinch of cinnamon to coffee, a sprinkle of black sesame or fermented pepper on a simple rice dish, or a handful of fresh greens on buttered bread. I noticed some big changes in my eating habits. I would automatically eat slower because there were so many new tastes to experience. And I want to take everything in. But far more importantly, my food cravings during the day disappeared. Japan, for instance, has one of the lowest obesity rates in the developed world, at just around 3 to 4%. This isn't a coincidence. It's deeply linked to their food culture. Researchers have found that in Japan, people combine almost all flavors in one meal. They add something sour or bitter, like fermented vegetables, and balance it with sweet or umami elements. When we choose these kinds of meals instead of a simple quick slice of bread, a donut, or a croissant for breakfast, we do 2 powerful things. First, we get a wider spectrum of important minerals and vitamins into our system. And second, we prevent cravings later in the day. This has been shown in several studies. Your body is a complex system that requires a broad range of micronutrients to function optimally. That's why we should always opt for eat the rainbow plates. But if you already feel like cooking takes up too much time and mental energy, you don't need to learn dozens of new recipes. Instead, just collect 5 to 10 simple meals that you can easily cook and think of small, quick adjustments you can make after cooking. This approach simplifies everything, especially if you have kids who prefer their meals rather plain. Plus, some vegetables like leafy greens, bell pepper, or broccoli are healthiest when they are raw and uncooked, so that's another easy health benefit. In our house, we often make simple dishes like lentil dal, chickpea curry, or butter chicken. Depending on what greens we have in the fridge, we will fill our plates with spinach and kimchi. We also like to top things off with a medium-cooked egg, sesame seeds, or other toppings. Doing this makes simple dishes exciting and healthy. Small changes can make a significant difference to your health and the health of your whole family. So start collecting your own favorite food toppings and make them readily available. Now that we have talked about what we put in our bodies, we also have to talk about another layer to holistic health that we often overlook: the materials we surround ourselves with every single day. The containers we use, the clothes we wear, and the pans we cook in can all have a silent but significant impact on our health. Let's start with a topic that's rightfully getting a lot of attention: microplastics. We know that tiny plastic particles are everywhere, in our water, our food, and even the air we breathe. These particles come from the breakdown of plastic products, including our food containers and water bottles. The research is still evolving, but early studies are raising serious concerns. These microplastics can act as endocrine disruptors. This means the chemical compounds in them, like BPA and phthalates, can interfere with our hormonal systems, potentially affecting everything from metabolism and growth to reproductive health and even cognitive function. This is exactly why we decided to make a change. We systematically exchanged our plastic food containers and drinking bottles for glass and stainless steel ones. We still use some of our old plastic containers, but we in general try to avoid them. And honestly, I find cold water from a metal bottle tastes infinitely better than from a plastic one. It's crisp and clean without that faint plastic taste. I know this can feel daunting, especially with children, but if you introduce glass early, teaching them a careful handling, shattered glass should be a rare exception, not the rule. I personally think that the long-term health benefits far outweigh the occasional risk. But it's not just what we eat from, it's also what we wear. The fabric we have directly on our skin for hours each day is incredibly important. Take polyester. It's a synthetic fabric derived from plastic. Besides being less breathable, which means it traps odor and doesn't regulate our body temperature well, it also sheds microplastics into the environment and onto our skin. Studies suggest that chemicals used in synthetic textiles can be dermally absorbed, potentially acting as skin irritants or, over the long term, contributing to our overall toxic load. This is why I advise opting for natural fibers like cotton, linen, hemp, and wool. They are breathable, biodegradable, and much kinder to our bodies. I started this journey a few years ago, and I'm still slowly selling my old polyester clothes and replacing them with natural alternatives. Yes, they are often pricier, so I really look for versatile, high-quality pieces that will last for years, not just a season. But more importantly, this process got me out of the overconsumption loop that I was stuck in, which brought so much calm into my life. A game changer for me has been merino wool. I first bought it for my son because it's thin, incredibly soft, and regulates the temperature perfectly, preventing overheating and chills, perfect for babies. I was so impressed that I finally invested in pieces for myself. There is simply no comparison. It's warm without being bulky, moisture wicking, and naturally odor resistant. The care is a bit more delicate, but it's absolutely worth it for the comfort and performance. Finally, let's talk about the material that can actually boost your health: cast iron. Many women in particular suffer from iron deficiency. While supplementation is necessary in some cases, diet is key. But here's a powerful kitchen hack: cooking with a cast iron skillet. Evidence shows that cooking in cast iron can significantly increase the iron content of your food. A study found that cooking in iron pots increased the iron content of foods by 16 to 22%, and in some cases even more for acidic foods like tomato sauce. This is because a small amount of iron leaches from the pan into the food during the cooking process. For anyone with low iron levels, this is a simple, passive, and effective way to increase your dietary intake. It's a perfect example of how a simple choice of material, opting for a centuries-old traditional cookware over a non-stick coated pan, can have a direct and positive impact on your nutritional status. The lesson in all of this is to become more mindful of our material environment. By choosing glass over plastic, natural fibers over polyester, and cast iron over potentially toxic non-stick coatings, we make a powerful investment in our long-term health. We reduce our exposure to harmful compounds and sometimes even gain benefits. It's a slow, intentional journey, but every small swap is a step toward a healthier life. My next tip is about a tool I often use in stressful situations or when I feel anxiety rising. It's the practice of consciously using your inner voice and your breath to guide yourself through these moments of stress. For me, this happens most when my children are having a tough time. Instead of getting swept up in the emotion, I pause for just a few seconds. I first truly understood the power of this during my time at university. We had the opportunity to test lie detectors on each other, to see how our heart rate and blood pressure would change when we lied. I discovered that I could lie without being detected. My secret? I didn't fight the nervousness. Instead, I immediately closed my eyes and placed myself mentally in the most calming memory from my childhood, the summer holidays at the Mediterranean Sea in Algeria. I would wade into the water, press all the air out of my lungs to make myself less floatable, and then lie down flat on my back on the sandy seabed. Once settled underwater, I would open my eyes and look up to observe the water's surface and the sun's rays filtering through it from below. I anchored myself in this memory. My body believed it was in that serene place, and my physiology simply didn't react to the stress of the lie. That is the power our mind has over our bodies. It's about having a pre-programmed mental escape, a memory of perfect safety and calm that you can access in an instant. Another even more intense example is childbirth. I think every mother can relate that during birth you become your own coach. During my 2 births, there was a constant quiet monologue in my head. I was continuously telling myself, "You're strong, you're capable, your body is made for this. This pain has a purpose and it will end." This positive self-talk, combined with very deliberate breathing, was my anchor. It didn't remove the pain, but it gave me a framework to manage it without panic. So how does it work? When stress hits, your amygdala, your brain's alarm system, sends you into fight or flight mode. By consciously engaging your inner voice and controlling your breath, you do 2 things. You activate your prefrontal cortex, the rational, thinking part of your brain, which calms the amygdala's panic response. And you stimulate your vagus nerve with long exhales, which slows your heart rate and lowers blood pressure, creating a physical feeling of calm. So how can you build your own internal anchor? Just think of a moment where you felt completely safe, calm and happy. It could be that beach, a grandparent's kitchen, a forest walk. Immerse yourself in the details. Spend a few seconds each day visiting that memory and combine it with regulated breathing. And now the next time you feel stress rising, whether with your children, in traffic or at work, pause. Take 1 deep breath and for a moment go to that place. Then use your inner voice to state a calm, rational truth. This is not an emergency, I am in control, and this will pass. For me, it's a stunning example of how we all have an innate toolkit to manage stress. It's about using the power of your own mind and breath to navigate life's challenges with grace and strength. Our bodies are designed to be deeply connected to the natural world, and that includes the changing length of days throughout the year. Honoring this can dramatically improve our energy and sleep quality. During the winter months, the days are shorter and darker. It is natural to need more rest. The challenge in winter is getting enough light to properly set your circadian rhythm. This is crucial for regulating mood, energy, and sleep-wake cycles. If you leave for work in the dark and come home in the dark, you must be intentional. The most effective strategy is to get outside during your lunch break. Even on a cloudy day, the light intensity outside is far greater than any indoor lighting. Eat your meal outside, or if that's not possible, take a 10 to 15-minute walk. Find a terrace, a balcony, or just a spot near a window. Your goal is to get bright natural light into your eyes as early in the day as possible. This signals to your brain that the day has started, boosting daytime alertness and helping you sleep better at night. During the summer, the challenge is the opposite. With long, bright days and more social activity, it's easier to be active, but harder to wind down. The key here is to create a deliberate buffer between a busy day and a restful sleep. The longer daylight hours can suppress melatonin production later into the evening. To counter this, you need a strong wind-down routine. Aim for at least 45 to 60 minutes of low stimulation activity before bed. This means no intense workout, no stimulating movies, and no bright screens. Opt for light stretching, reading a physical book, or taking a slow, gentle walk outside as the sun sets. This tells your nervous system that the active part of the day is over and it's safe to transition into rest. The core principle is this: stop fighting the seasons. In winter, permit yourself to rest more and consciously seek the light. In summer, embrace the energy, but protect your downtime. I am sure all of you are familiar with that afternoon slump. Your energy dips, your focus flickers, and your hand instinctively reaches for another coffee or a sugary snack. But there is another powerful, natural tool for this: cold exposure. While some of you might already use it to wake up in the morning, it's a great way to get energized and focus better at any time of day. My husband, for instance, doesn't drink caffeine a lot. Instead, when he needs to focus or shake off that post-lunch fatigue, he takes a quick cold plunge in our pool. It's just a very small and simple one we bought for our kids that we have on the terrace during the summer months. But here's why this works so well for focus. It triggers a massive natural release of norepinephrine and dopamine in your brain. This chemical combination is crucial for sharpening attention, elevating mood, and improving executive function. It essentially clears the mental fog and allows you to concentrate without the jitters of caffeine. Furthermore, it's great for nervous system control. That initial shock forces you to consciously control your breathing. By focusing on long, slow exhales, you train your body to remain calm under stress. This practice builds mental resilience that translates directly into better focus, allowing you to handle complex tasks without feeling overwhelmed. But you don't need a pool or a bathtub for it. The simplest method is to step into the shower and turn the water to cold for just 60 seconds. Focus entirely on slowing your breath. Or even easier, fill a basin with cold water and then submerge your face for 15 to 30 seconds. This triggers the mammalian dive reflex, instantly slowing your heart rate and sharpening focus. Or if you have access to a cold tub or pool, then a 2 to 3 minute plunge is the ultimate reset. This is again about using a natural, immediate stimulus to hijack fatigue and reclaim your focus. Proving again that most of the times, the simplest solutions are the most profound. That's it for today. Stay blessed. Assalamu alaikum.